Hello, Stoke fans, and welcome to JRTV. This is going to be my first Stoke City post-game reaction video. Hopefully you enjoy it, and if you do, let me know down below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I want to hear from you guys. My name is John Rawlins. I am a podcaster here in Orlando, Florida. I podcast about Orlando City and Orlando Pride, but I've been a lifelong Stoke fan, and I decided I want to start making some content about my favorite English team. So today we're going to talk a little bit post-game reaction after the 0-0 result. QPR 0, Stoke 0. So a bit of a bore draw. We'll get into why that might be and the potential issues that we've got in the striker position. And then we'll also talk about the transfer window. January is going on and we are making moves. So we'll have to discuss that. First of all, I want to get into the game by talking about the lineup. There was some speculation before the game about who was going to start in the goalkeeping position. Of course, Simkin, 3 off the bat with a clean sheet. So he's been doing pretty well since we brought him back on loan. He is a great player, England U20 player, a guy that has got a big career ahead of him, but perhaps the front office at Stoke feels like maybe he's not the guy to lead us for the rest of the season as we try and push to make the playoffs. And so they brought in Gavin Buzunu on loan from Southampton for the remainder of the 25-26 season. Mixed feelings, I think, from the Stoke fans about Gavin Buzunu. He is a very highly rated young goalkeeper as well, most recently with Southampton. And, I think under the time that Will Still was leading them, they did concede a lot of goals. I think that Gavin Buzunu was perhaps put under a lot of strain from the leaky back line that Southampton had. So his stats this year are not the best. And I think some Stoke fans maybe thought we could have just rolled the dice with Tommy Simkin, but Gavin Buzunu comes in and he gets the start straight off the bat today and himself gets a clean sheet. So we're 4 clean sheets now for Stoke. In terms of the lineup for the back line, again, we're looking at, Maxi playing at right back. He's a center back who's been, deputized to play right back, learning more and more about the position, but doing a very good job there. And then Bosun Lawal, I mean, he can play anywhere, can't he? And he's playing left back once again, pushing up on that left side of the field, doing a really, really good job. Bosun can just do it all. But we've essentially got 4 center backs across the back, across the 4 positions. It kind of reminds us old Stokies of the Premier League days with Tony Pulis when he used to love having 4 center backs across the back line as well. Out of necessity for Stoke at the moment, not really a defensive choice by Mark Robbins, just what has happened because we are out so many fullbacks. Of course, Junior Chamadu, we're hoping he's going to come back sooner than planned. We'll talk more when we talk about the transfer situation, about left backs and right backs and what might go on there. Other surprises, Mbama, I don't know if it is a surprise to some people that he's still starting games. I think Cisse could have perhaps started this game, but we're really light on strikers. I think it was out of necessity that he gets another start. Rigo, I think that had a good game and was, you know, potentially in the mix to start as one of the defensive mids. I think some people thought it might be the time for him to get more minutes, as we've seen with Cisse. Some of these guys, it just takes them a while to figure out the championship. And I think that's the case for Rigo. So the more minutes that he gets under his belt, the better that he will do. So I think the starting lineup, not really too surprising. I think the big debate was around Buzunu versus Simkin, and we talked about that one. In terms of the first half, QPR really, they came to play for a draw. I mean, I think it was about 25 minutes in, and you already kind of felt like they were just wanting to sit back, frustrate, get under Stoke's skin, weren't really interested in playing expansive football at all. They wanted just to sit back and really, annoy us and then get under our skin. And the ref, kind of allowed that to happen a lot of the game. He was, calling yellow cards for things that were really light. Other refs would just wave them off and tell players, get on with it. This ref seemed to be calling a lot of that. And, the QPR players seem to lean into that a little bit in the first half. I think there was a yellow he missed at the end of the first half on Rigo for quite a blatant one, and he didn't actually give that. But I think Stoke, we dominated most of that first half. We're really on top, had most of the momentum all the game, but we just weren't able to really create quality chances. And when we did create quality chances, we were not quality with our finishing. We had 12 shots in total and only three of them on target. In the first half, I really felt like we should have scored one and gone up and then, put the pressure on QPR to come out a little bit more and come at us. And we just weren't really able to do that with not being able to score. So yeah, there was a potential handball in the first half at the end as well in the box. It came off his like off his face and hit his arm. I don't know. The Stoke fans were calling, the fans and players were calling for it, but it wasn't seemed to be given by the ref. And then Maxi, he had a great chance at the end of the first half as well, where the ball comes across the box from Cisse and he tries to get his leg out in front of it, a reaction, and it just happens to go wide. So we're really close in that first half, but again, we just need that bit of quality in the final third, either from our striker or from our wingers or from Beijing Ho in the number 10 position. We need to start seeing him produce some moments of quality where he puts the ball in the back of the net as well. So the first half, good from Stoke, but really, I think everybody felt like we should have scored. The second half started very slowly. It was not a very exciting beginning to the second half, and then we have the Divin Mbama injury. Really, it looked rough for him. He's going off in the wheelchair, getting in the ambulance. That they think that he's gone off the hospital now. So we're our thoughts are with Divine, and hopefully it's a quick recovery for him. But it could be a long term injury. And again, this goes back to Stoke having a striker crisis. It was interesting right after that. Sorba Thomas kind of gave a little bit back to the QPR player who injured Mbama. So I think that you could see, the camaraderie there from Sorba to say, hey, I didn't like what you did to my boy. At that point, we had to then move Cisse up top, and we brought Million Manhoff on from the wing. Like I said before, some Stoke fans maybe would have liked to see Cisse start up top. He has played there in the French 2 league. He's got a lot of experience as a striker, so he can do that role. He's more of a winger type striker, as I'm sure you would assume, not a big bruiser number 9, which we don't really have the ability to bring them on at the moment. With Sam Gallagher potentially being out injured, he's a guy that always seems to be injured. Divin Mbama now injured, and of course Bozanic injured as well. QPR in the second half still really just playing like, they wanted the draw. They doing everything they could to see out the game, to get that 1 point. There was a rough challenge by Kone on Wilmot at one point, and the ref, maybe could have given a red for that, and he went just for yellow. I think the fans were just mainly frustrated by the ref allowing QPR really to do a lot of the antics they were to slow the game, to frustrate players, to cause issues, et cetera, et cetera. And Stoke had a lot of chances, but it was a similar tale to the first half where we just weren't able to take them. And as the game went on, even with 10 minutes that we had on the extra time, it didn't feel like it was ever going to come. I think for me with the Stoke in this game, we couldn't get that goal that we desperately needed. Like again, I said, we really needed a bit of quality from one of our attacking players. And I think this is where, we have a real striker crisis. I mentioned before all of the injuries, etc. But we've been relying a lot this season on goals from wingers, from Sorba Thomas, from Million Manhoff, from other areas of the pitch, not always our strikers anyway. But now I think it is a case that we really need to be able to get somebody in the door who is going to be able to really score some goals for us. But in terms of where we are in the table, we are still in 7th position, 41 points after 27 games played. A win here against QPR would have been great. It would have pushed us up. It accelerated us into the playoff positions, which I do think Stoke still can finish in the playoffs. We've got to make sure that we're able to score goals. Right now, we are the best team in the league, but we are really struggling at the other end of the pitch. Once that is figured out, if we are defending as we will and scoring 1 or 2 goals a game, we're going to start winning, most games. So if we can figure that out, we'll be able to stay in the playoffs. If we can't figure that out and we still continue to not be able to score goals, I think we're more destined for a mid-table finish again. So a lot for me hinges on what we do with the rest of the January transfer window. Let's move to talking about that. Of course, we talked about Buzunu coming in as the goalkeeper. I think he's probably going to play most of the games the rest of the year. Tommy Simkin will most likely remain here, having been recalled from Leyton Orient. Two good championship goalkeepers, I think there. Neither of them perhaps great goalkeepers and not the level that Victor Johansson was bringing, but two good goalkeepers. So I don't think we need to worry about that position at all anymore. Jack Bonham has left. I think a lot of that we could see was the reasoning for keeping Tommy Simkin here, but bringing in Gavin Buzunu. We've known that Jack Bonham obviously feels that he's not going to get a chance ever really here. I think it makes sense. He's moved to Bolton Wanderers, probably his level. And I wish Jack all the best. Let's see how he does for Bolton. Freddie Anderson has been loaned out to Barrow, and Andre Vidigal has been finally let go from the club, a guy that I don't think we ever thought was going to see the field for Stoke again. In terms of incoming signings, we really have been looking for a right back. Cody Drama was the guy that we were most heavily linked with on social media and in the transfer rumors. He has got an injury for Hull, and there's seen some indications that maybe Hull don't want to let him go. So maybe not Cody Drama, but I think we are still looking for a potential right back to come in. It could be big, something that I think we need, especially, Junior is still going to be out for a while. Maxi's doing a good job, but we've always been light this year on right backs, and that's a position I feel like we were always going to perhaps strengthen or find somebody that could do a job there in this January transfer window. The other player we're looking at bringing in potentially is Jisunrun Rak-Sayki from Crystal Palace on loan. He has reportedly decided that he prefers Stoke over Swansea, which is, we love to see that. So he is a really good, dynamic young winger, and I think would be a great get for us to add into the mix of our winger core. We've seen Cisse start to develop and then be able to give a rest to Thomas or Manhoof. So if we bring in Rak-Sayki, that's more rotation. It's going to be key for the end of the season here, as our wingers seem to be the ones scoring a lot of our goals. And I think Rak-Sayki is a guy who can do it in the championship. In terms of other positions, striker is the main one. I think the situation with Divin Mbama probably going to be out for a long time. And I think with that happening, what makes most sense is to return him from his loan from Man City and go out and find another loan of a Premier League striker who's in their U21s, or maybe another loan from another championship club that is looking for a striker that they have that they want to move on, find somewhere perhaps where he can score some goals in the championship, similar to what we did with Gavin Buzunu. But with no Bosniak, who Sod's Law, of course, finally, gets that goal. He's been working up to it throughout the season, figuring out the championship. I think been a really good team player, but just not necessarily put the ball in the back of the net a lot. He finally gets the goal, and of course is immediately injured in the same game. So real shame. I think if he was still available right now, he'd be the guy and be pushing on for the rest of the season for us to kind of build around as the number 9. Mbama has not really worked out for him in this loan. I feel like this injury is probably the end of that loan, in which case let's go out and find another loanee who can do the job right now. Sam Gallagher is around, but again, I don't think we can rely on him to be a week in, week out, 90 minutes guy. He's just too injury prone, as everybody knows. And Cisse, really, I want to have Cisse on the wing. So if we're committed to playing Cisse all the time as a striker, I don't think that's best role for us. I think I'd rather have him as one of the winger rotation core. So I think Stoke have to go after a striker in this window now. I think they were always planning on doing it anyway, but there is a real need, and we have a striker crisis. So I want to thank all of you who watched this episode. I appreciate you all for being here. If you've got any comments, or if you'd like to let me know what you think about strikers, or drop any strikers down in the comments that you think we should go after, please go ahead and do so. Subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be making Stoke reaction videos like this after every game, as well as making some Stoke podcasts with other Stoke fans, both here in the US and in the UK. You can follow me on all the social medias, John Rawlins TV, on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Blue Sky, etc. So I appreciate you guys for watching. And as always, up the mighty Potters.